beautiful souls. Good morning and welcome back to the Integration Station. I'm Naturally Ashley, your host, and I've actually got Laura here. Laura is also known as the Honey Huntress, and she's going to talk to us today about all kinds of things that are related to both bee medicine and also experience with microdosing and doing infusions and working with it in our own life, all these amazing things. So I'm really excited about this. Without any further ado, I'll just pass to you, Laura. Please share, what brought you into this world, what inspired you to, get into saving the bees, working with them, and all the things leading into where you are at now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley. I'm so grateful to be here. You and we connected on Instagram, and I can't even remember how that happened exactly, if I found you or you found me, but I do keep my eye out for women, especially who are working with psychedelic medicine, who are offering integration, coaching services, things like that, because as I personally produce a medicine and share a medicine, I don't offer any coaching with that at this time. And so I love to find practitioners that I can direct my customers to so they can have someone to work with, have someone to understand what is integration, how can I benefit the most from this medicine. And you seem to share that with your audience so well. And you did such a thoughtful and well-produced reel about receiving my package of mushroom honeys. So thank you for that. We got us content creators, we're always fighting the algorithm. Yes. We're always working with those algorithms, and it can be a burnout for sure. And so when we can collaborate and lift each other up with content like that, it's just so valuable. So thank you for that. Yes, I'm Laura. I go by the Honey Huntress. I've had that pseudonym since 2016. I've been working with honeybees since 2013. I started working with bees on the island of Maui in Hawaii. I was there as an organic farmer and came from the city. I lived in Milwaukee, went to school in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and flew out to the island trying to change the world through organic farming. And so I was working on some farms there, and I had been introduced to mushroom hunting. I had been introduced to psychedelics and like parties in college and things like that. I was a bit of a wild child. But it was really in moving to Hawaii where I started to learn about some of these party drugs as actual medicine, like changing my relationship with cannabis from instead of just smoking to get high every day, like actually seeing what the cannabis plant looks like and being like, oh my goodness, this is sacred medicine, having those kind of revelations and realizations on the island. And then working with bees became just this really a sacred journey for me. Honeybees have been my biggest connection to the divine and have been my best teachers. They bring me peace and joy and hope and all the things that are really medicine in this world. And of course, all the medicines of the hive as well. So I can go on so many tangents here. So please rein me in if I'm talking too much, or if you have any questions. I definitely have been known to hold the mic too long.
You're doing great. Honestly, I love your passion about all of it. I was saying to Steve right before even starting the show, I'm like, this is really important. work, like it seems almost like too simple to be as important as it is. And so maybe we can just start there. Why is it this work with bees so important? Organic farming, like why is it important for the planet? What's been driving your soul and your light, your passion for this?
Great question. Thank you, Ashley. I grew up high school, college, became an activist, cared a lot about the peace movement. My degree was in global security and peace and conflict resolution. I wanted to work for NGOs around the world, work for the UN. I wanted to save the world, change the world, and help people. And as I went further down that road, I realized that the best way to help people is by working with the planet, right? Like, we can't just go in and be like, you guys need to get along. We need to figure out the core issues of why they're not. And often that comes down to resources and just their own physical health and well-being and ability to take care of themselves, right? So much of conflict, right? How many times does conflict come just because you're hungry? And think about that on a global scale, right? Like, I know I can be a bitch when I'm hungry. And so you amplify that. And so, and obviously most of us are aware that our food system is not working, right? We have more than enough food for the planet, and it's not getting to the people. And so much of that food is toxic these days. So a lot of my advocacy these days is for organic, regenerative, sustainable agriculture. And that is truly the number one thing we can do to save bees is eat organic, buy organic, don't buy as much, stop consuming everything, give back. So yeah, people ask me, I want to become a beekeeper to help the bees. Not the best thing you can do. Like, it starts with taking care of yourself, and taking care of yourself starts with eating a better diet and drinking more water, like ground level, right? And if we all ate a better diet and drank more water, our ability to be kinder is inevitable because we're being kinder to ourselves, right? So saving the bees, the other thing I say about that is the bees don't really need our help. Like, sure, we humans need the bees to keep pollinating food for us, but the bees have been here for thousands of years, tens of thousands, I think even hundreds of thousands of years before humans. They will be just fine. They will be here long past us. The planet has been here for, eons before us. We don't need to save the planet. The planet will be just fine. At the end of the day, all these things that we're trying to save really comes back to us every single time. And by saving ourselves, again, it starts with a better diet and more water, and then integrating plant and fungi and bee medicine. These medicines from nature that can heal and cure us on really every level that we need. God bless Western medicine and the innovations and the necessity of those innovations to cure, to heal, to fix, right? My grandma had quadruple bypass surgery. That's incredible that she could get a life extension from a surgery like that. But did she change her lifestyle at all? No, she didn't. She still eats a standard American diet. She's still
sad diet.
Yeah, the sad diet. She still drinks soda every day instead of water. And so she's made it till 89. But these issues are systemic, right? So an example I like to give is a honeybee hive those bees can go out and forage in a field that's been sprayed with pesticides, and the bees that are in contact with the pesticides might not actually die from it, but they're going to come back into the hive. That those chemicals are going to be fed into the brood, into the babies of the hive, and the next generation is going to be chemically altered from those pesticides so that their immune system is less. And so it may not be the generation that touches the pesticides, but each generation after that, their immune system degrades, right? So we look at our grandparents living to 80, 90 years old on these horrible diets, on not good lifestyles. But I don't think we're going to see that longevity in the generations below them, in our generations, because of that effect on immune systems. The more and more we're seeing autism, we're seeing allergies, we're seeing all these things that wasn't really as prevalent before the food industry was taken over by chemicals. So okay, so
that is what it is. It is a chemical industry, you know, that's how they're making all of these things. When you see natural flavoring in food, they can have they have chemical engineers that make that ingredient. There's over 100 different chemicals oftentimes in it. And they don't have to record any of that kind of stuff.
Right.
You know, the citric acid that's used to preserve the food, that's made out of black mold. You know, how many people are walking around with mold toxicity and they don't realize? You know what can help a lot of these kinds of things? A lot of these natural medicines that you can get from organic farming and working with bees. And they don't have to be your bees. Like, one of the things that we advocate for actually is friends of ours, they had the land, but they have their own specialties. So what they do is rent out to other people who specializes in the bees. So now there's even more land for bees. They get to learn, they get to barter and all of these beautiful things. But now it's more community, and that people have their specialties and you can go further together. This is so beautiful, like what these opportunities are here. And you're touching on some really valid points too when it comes to the SAD or standard American diet. Dr. Mark Hyman, he said long before any of the COVID scares or anything like that, in his book, The Blood Sugar Solution, which goes deep into a lot of this stuff that you're mentioning here with autism, but also diabetes and obesity, which is a common disease. It's one thing, the diabetes of the brain, Alzheimer's, which shows up, a lot of these kinds of mental health disorders. And so what he was saying in this Blood Sugar Solution book was that his dedication, right from the heart, is that this is for the families of today, because this is the first generation where our children are not expected to outlive us. That means that not only we were living longer. Yes, it looks like that, but our quality of life for those extended years has been pretty shitty because it's been working to feed the economy, through big pharma, through this chemical industry. But now that's all changing with technologies. They don't need that anymore. A lot of stuff is changing. And that means, now it's a cut down of those people and those resources. So now it's time to be taking responsibility. And whenever somebody else is out there saying, oh, if you give us your money, we're going to help with climate change or these kinds of things, it's like what you're saying is so valid. Like, the climate's going to be just fine. Like, Mama Nature knows what she's doing. That's okay. But what it's doing is distracting us. It's kind of doing similar to what the churches do. It's like, give us some money and you'll either buy your way into heaven or buy your way out of hell. And that takes away our personal responsibility, which is just the basics. Drink water, get out in the sunlight, eat some food. If they could help anybody with the money, there wouldn't be a starvation issue. There'd be nobody going around hangry or starving. It's unbelievable that people are starving with the technology and the money and resources available today. That's how you know it's not real. That's Maya.
Amen. Yes. Yes, you said two things I want to reflect back on there, just community, right? And specialties there, and finding what those are and working with your neighbors, working with the people around you. I love that. I have always wanted to do, well, I do and don't want to do the like hives on different properties, because it takes work. It takes more work to work with other people, right, than to do everything by yourself. But then at the end, it doesn't take more work because you're helping each other. So yeah, it's a catch-22 for me, because I like to have that control over my apiary, over my bees. Um, and I like to not have to travel, because you know, I'm a homebody. So if I have bees, I love for them to be right outside my door. I was blessed on Maui during the pandemic. I had a hive right on my porch that I could see when I woke up in the morning, because I had like windows all on my room there, and I could walk out and just sit with them during the morning. I had all these honeybee meditations there. And so maybe I'll just talk a little bit about the medicine of the hive and how that
Please.
has influenced me in this life. I started to speak on that before, just how honeybees are truly this divine entity on our planet. They are such an integral part of our ecosystem, for everything, not just humans. They provide life. They are life. They're pollinators. And we are all pollinators, like even you and me, we are pollinators, because when we go outside, we move pollen from place to place just by our presence. And so I love thinking of myself as a pollinator too. And, both in the literal sense and in the metaphorical sense of pollinating the world with my passions, right? My love. And so honeybees are just so freaking cool. And I could never, ever, ever be bored with them. They're the most studied insect on the planet, and we still don't know everything about them. They still have this mystery, this allure around them. It gives me chicken skin just to talk about them. And so in a honeybee hive, every single thing is medicine and edible. You can eat the wax, you can eat the babies, the brood. I mean, it sounds, horrible, but it's high, high, high in protein, super, super nutrient dense. When a bear goes for a honeybee hive, they're not going for the honey, they're going for the brood. They want that protein. So same thing for humans. If you are starving in nature and you find a hive, yeah, it's score on the calories and the carbohydrates from the honey, the sugars, but really you want to take some bites of that brood as well. And the wax, not a lot of nutritional value in the wax, but so many applications, right? From candles to salves to all the things that you can, apply wax to and have that be beneficial. So the brood, high protein, the honeybees, you can eat an adult honeybee. They will have some protein to them too, but at that point, they're mostly fiber. And yeah, there's not a whole lot to an adult honeybee, but they're still technically edible. But then they are the only insects that make food that's edible for humans, this incredible nectar called honey. And raw honey is pretty much the best thing you can be eating. And it breaks my heart when people say, I don't like honey. And I'm like, yeah, because you've just had like plasticky teddy bear McDonald packet honey. Like that's not real honey. Like, so eating raw honey is truly like touching God. You are eating sunlight. You are eating flower essence. You are eating life itself, like consuming just the most divine substance. And it tastes good. Like it's sweet and delicious. And, depending on the flowers that the bees harvested the nectar from, that honey is going to have different characteristics, different flavor profiles. And so it's just magical. I've done a lot of honey tastings. So I provide my guests multiple different honeys to try, and we taste each one and talk about the different characteristics, the texture, the color, the flavors. And so it's a fun way to connect more with this medicine and learn more about it. And then bee pollen is also extremely beneficial. Oh, I'm going to forget one here. And then royal jelly as well, which is a substance honeybees make from glands on their body that they feed to bees that are going to become queen bees. And there's all sorts of kind of mythology around royal jelly, and it's like anti-aging benefits and fertility benefits, since the honeybee queen is the only bee to be able to lay eggs. Oftentimes royal jelly, especially in Chinese medicine, will be recommended for women who are trying to get pregnant. So the medicine from the hive just has so many applications. And then one of my most favorite is something called apitherapy, or bee sting therapy, where the bee venom itself might sound scary, might sound dangerous. And it's so interesting where this substance, if taken in too much, can kill you, but if taken in the right amount, can cure you. So I love things like that, with that duality, right? It could kill you or cure you, and it's how you use it, your relationship to it, how you consume it. And so bee sting medicine is used for a variety of things, primarily Lyme disease and then arthritis, but they are showing incredible studies about how bee venom is actually destroying cancer cells, especially breast cancer cells. So it is painful. It is never not painful. Anyone who tells you a bee sting doesn't hurt them is lying. I have been stung dozens and dozens and dozens of times. What it is it your tolerance becomes higher, right? It still hurts, right? Just like an ice bath is never not cold, but your tolerance becomes higher, and you be able to kind of just regulate your pain responders, right? Where you're not like, I'm dying, oh my God, it hurts so bad. And you recognize the pain, but it doesn't consume you. It doesn't overwhelm you, especially if you're doing it as a regular therapy. So I've used it. It also can help remove scar tissue. So I've used it on some scars. I've used it on pain points. I have like TMJ. I've stung my jawline before. So it's a pretty incredible medicine. I have stung friends that have come over before and have wanted to experience that. Obviously, you want to work with someone that knows what they're doing a little bit. But a lot of Lyme disease patients sting themselves. They order honeybees and they either do it themselves or have a partner sting them, because they do a very specific protocol with their stinging, like 10 stings down the spine on both sides. Sounds really painful, but it really, the benefits outweigh the small amount of discomfort that you go through, because oftentimes with Lyme disease, they try so many other things and spend so much money. And the other thing with bee sting therapy is, especially if you have your own bees, it's not expensive, really. There is the point that honeybees will die when they have stung. So on a moral, ethical ground, there are some people that have issues with using honeybees for that type of medicine. There are ways to use the stinger and not kill the bee. It takes a steady hand, and it's hard to do. But what I tell people is a honeybee hive is a super organism. And so that means that it operates as a whole. So kind of like a human is one whole organism. We have cells, right, that die and regrow every single day in our body. And a honeybee hive is very similar with the bees. They lose about 1,000 bees a day just from dying and natural causes and all the things that happen to a hive. And then they gain about 1,000 bees a day just through their natural birth cycle. So taking 5, 10 bees here and there to apply medicine to your body doesn't really hurt the health of the hive. Yes, it's unfortunate for those few bees that you use for the ceremony, but if you do it with love and respect, I think that the hive understands. So so honeybees are just incredible, and through working with them I have been introduced to so many other medicines, and I've worked with a few other psychedelics like DMT and LSD, but my favorite and just the one that I is closest to my heart is psilocybin. And I have, since moving to Maui about 12 years ago, I have been through a beautiful journey with this mushroom and have cultivated it myself, which was a really fascinating experience. It's just so cool to see something go from spores to mycelium to fruiting body mushrooms. It's just magic. It really is. And so with that, I started microdosing. I suffer from some PTSD as well as addiction issues, specifically with alcohol. I'm from the Midwest and grew up drinking. That was our medicine around here. And of course, that is one of the worst substances you can put in your body. And so, in looking for medicines to help me address the root causes of these issues, psilocybin has been incredible for me. And I'm very close with a beekeeper in Australia that was making blue honey. And she was very successful in having amazing testimonies from her customers in Australia. And her and I are very close. Her name is Emily. Her business is Embodied Bee. And she sent me a jar of her blue honey to help me with the things I wanted to address. And it was, I mean, it's just so delicious. The idea of combining psilocybin and raw honey, like these two powerhouse medicines from nature, just was incredible. And you think mushrooms, oh, they don't taste good. Yes, the mushroom honey is. So the MD honey, I changed the name of the honey that I make from blue honey to MD honey. The reason why I did that, MD stands for microdosing, and blue honey can be made microdosing as well, but the ratio that I make mine with is specifically for microdosing. It's a lower ratio. And it's such a wonderful way for people to be introduced to this medicine, because anyone that's eaten dried mushrooms on their own knows they don't taste that great. And yes, you can dry them up, put them in, grind them up, put them in capsules, or make a tea. But what are you doing with that tea? You're going to add honey to it anyway. So if you're going to add honey to your tea anyway, you can just take a spoonful of my MD honey or of a blue honey that you make or come across and put that in warm water and make your mushroom tea that way. And then you have the honey and the mushroom already taken care of. So, but the nice thing with mushroom honey is it's super versatile. It doesn't just need to go in a hot drink. It can go in a smoothie. It can go on toast. It can go in your soup. It can go in your pasta sauce. You can infuse really anything with the mushroom honey, whether it's the microdosing honey or from that, created a line of other mushroom honeys that are all functional mushrooms, mushrooms like lion's mane, reishi, turkey-tailed chaga. In fact, I am drinking my chaga chai this morning. One of my favorite things with these mushroom honeys is that, like I was just saying, they don't need tea or coffee. I just take a spoonful of my chaga chai, put it in hot water, and add some non-dairy milk, and I have a chaga chai latte. Chaga, to divert a little bit here, is one of the highest antioxidant foods on the planet. So we call it the anti-aging mushroom. It's very good for your hair, your skin, your nails, your organs, any tissue issues. So eczema, psoriasis, anything like that, chaga is going to be like a really good mushroom for you. And I sell these honeys at a farmer's market, unfortunately at this time, not the microdosing honey, but my other mushroom honeys. And with the chaga honey, when I'm pitching that to someone, I tell them it's anti-aging mushroom. I say, yes, I'm actually 70 years old, and I'll deadpan it, straight face. And the reactions I get, I mean, most people do a double take, like, wait, how old are you? It's my one of my one-liners that I know will always get a good reaction, so I love using that one.
My mom does that all the time too. She always tells people that she's 10 years older, so then they always give her a compliment, and that's how she gets by her elder years.
That's a great idea, actually. I love that. I am actually 40 though, and I'm feeling pretty good for 40.
Yes.
And so these mushrooms are life-enhancing, life-extending medicines. And I think these days, those two terms are really important because everybody's all about the life extension. I want to live longer, but what about life enhancement, right? We want to enjoy our lives while we're living longer. We want to feel good. We want to look good. We want our brains to be working, right? So this is a big point that I did want to touch on today is brain health. And I moved home to Wisconsin 2 years ago due to my stepdad getting glioblastoma, which is stage 4, the most terminal brain cancer. The majority of people don't live past a year. And so it was a shock. He was quite young still, I think not even 60. And he passed after 10 months with this disease. And he was taking a little turkey tail. He mainly relied on Western medicine to address it. And I tried to inject my medicines to his world. So he would take a little turkey tail mushroom. Turkey tail is the #1 most studied mushroom in the world and is shown to have incredible anti-cancer properties. But the other mushroom that I wish he would have taken, and one that I recommend to everyone, is lion's mane. On top of my stepdad passing from glioblastoma, my grandma is entering a stage of dementia at this time in her life. And it's really, both of these two things were like, whoa, Laura, you gotta really care about your brain health, because physically I'm pretty fit, but these brains are so fragile. And lion's mane mushroom is being shown to regrow brain cells and improve the brain and nervous system health so much. And I have 2 different mushroom honeys with lion's mane. I do a lion's mane peppermint cacao, and I do a lion's mane lavender rosemary. And then I also have an infinity honey that has lion's mane along with 7 other mushrooms in it. The other great thing with lion's mane is that it's wonderful. Yes, the infinity to infinity and beyond. Lion's mane is wonderful to stack with psilocybin. So I'm sure Ashley's touched on stacking in these episodes where you're using other plant medicines or mushroom medicines with your psychedelic medicines to add other properties, add other benefits. So I love using lion's mane for the brain and cacao for the heart, and then psilocybin for the spirit, right? And so those three medicines I love using together. So blue honey started it off for me. My friend in Australia sent me that jar, and after I tried it, she said, actually, I have a lot of customers in the US that I can't ship to. Would you like my recipe? And I was at the end of a seasonal job last year, landscaping, and coming into the winter last year where I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do for money. I've been through the ringer in entrepreneurialism, and I didn't really have anything going for me at the time. And I was like, yeah, that would be amazing to be able to share this blue honey. That would change my life. So she gave me the recipe. I was able to source mushrooms from a very trusted close friend, which just has been an incredible collaboration between the two of us. And then I source a local raw honey, since I don't currently keep my own bees, which is the biggest void in my life right now. But all that I'm doing is so that I can have a honeybee sanctuary at some point, but still a little ways away from that. So I started sharing the blue honey last year, and it actually was the seed money to start my other mushroom honeys. So it just opened up this door for me into a product that's really not on the market yet. We're seeing mushroom coffees, mushroom chocolates, mushroom gummies, of course, mushroom tinctures and capsules and things like that. But as far as mushroom honeys go, I could only find a couple other companies on the internet that offered anything similar, but not as good as mine.
Yeah, this is how I found you as well, because honestly, I've been sharing the same article for so long. I stumbled across blue honey because I'm like, I have to make mushrooms taste good, and yeah, and so I went on this journey, and then I found out that one of the best ways to actually preserve it was in honey, and I'm like, as if, because that makes sense that they would have done it all those years ago. And there has been mushrooms preserved, psychedelic mushrooms preserved in honey for thousands and thousands of years. So I'm like, well, I got to do something with this. So then I wrote an article on that. I shared some other recipes that you can do with it if you wanted to do bigger doses. You mix it with sesame seeds and make those like cracker cookies and things. But for microdosing, whenever anybody's saying anything or like asking me about it, I've always just shared that blue honey article, and I'm like, it doesn't even matter. Like, use dried mushrooms and layer it, and you can eat it right away. You don't have to wait. I'm like, just do it with the honey. But people are still like, want to do the capsules or want to do this, and I'm like, okay, I need to find somebody who can like have my back on this.
Yeah,
there's a special connection between the bee and the honey. The mushrooms are like underneath ground, that mycelium connecting the entire freaking forest. And when we eat them, we can tap into that kind of communication, this universal language. Guess what? The bees fly around happy as can be in a community setting. They dance through life. That's how they communicate. How much do people struggle to communicate today? So now if we bring this together, we've got the communication with ourselves and the universe through us, working with the psychedelics. Then you have the bees come in, and we can now take this into our regular life and have more communication, a better, more peaceful communication with the ones that we love. Like, at least this is where I go in, like, this is where my heart's speaking.
I love it. Preach, sister, preach. You're singing my song. That's exactly it. There's something so special, when you take it in a capsule, of course, there are a lot of great supplements you can take by pill or capsule, but it's that kind of like Western way, right? And
Because if you're not tasting it, that's the first process to digestion. Our mouth has its own microbiome. We have to taste that food, and you don't have to like it. If
yeah,
anybody has children or tried to feed a child, they're not gonna like it. They're like picky pants. And like, but we are too, because we're in this culture of, we have sugar and fat and salt. They're specialists that they are paid a lot of money to make food taste good.
yeah.
And we forget that medicine, like, we actually need all the taste buds.
Yeah.
We need to taste something from in all of those different senses every single day, and we need to cleanse our other senses too, what we're seeing, what we're touching, and it all plays a role. But I think that tasting it's part of it. And a lot of people, when they're coming off of a lot of pharmaceuticals, they get scared about that dependency on pills, or am I just going from pills to supplements now?
Yeah.
And so then that mindset, they have a hard time with it. So I'm like, there has to be an alternative, so
Exactly.
and this is it. When it comes to microdosing, for me, I think blue honey really is it. With the larger doses, there are some other alternatives, but this is a big thing. And I think it's big for all nutrition. Like, a lot of people thought I was vegan for a long time. I could never do that, because I always used honey in every single thing I did for my apothecary in my own life. And I prayed to these things, I didn't have the hive, but I'd go spend time with people who did do that kind of stuff, and I would barter with them, or I would buy in bulk from them and put love and give them gifts, like, that was me.
Yeah. Bee people and mushroom people are my favorite freaking people. They are both, and often they intersect, right? Very often they do. But there's just such a beautiful community of both of them. I'm highly networked with both communities on Instagram, and they're just awesome. Like, it's a goal of mine this year to do a road trip across country and stay with beekeepers everywhere I go. And that was a big vision. When I created the Honey Huntress in 2013, that was my vision, was to travel the world and work with beekeepers everywhere. And I've slowly achieving that goal. Obviously, the pandemic was like a little halt on that. That 2020, I was going to go to Australia and Southeast Asia, and all these things happened for a reason, though. And here I am. If I had done that, who knows if I would have started a journey creating these incredible medicines to share with people. So it's a blessing.
Like having the product, not anybody, a lot of people have their own specialties and things that they're doing. So they're actively seeking an answer. And you've developed this product that is in a way that hits a niche for those people who don't want to work with the capsules and not growing their own. It's this really important work. And I do believe you are going to travel and make all that other stuff happen too.
It'll happen.
You had more time to mull it over and build those connections.
Yeah. The great thing is we're seeing legalization, and at least decriminalization in some areas. And with that, there is a new market opening for these psychedelic medicines. Something that's really important to me, and something that I think anyone that's working with psychedelic medicine needs to be just cautious of, as we are seeing legalization, is still supporting small business. Because if we see, like, I remember when cannabis started legalizing, and I was like, are we going to see like Marlboro joints? Like these big ass corporations, are they going to be like now taking our medicines from us and making money off of them? Like, so, there's so many gummies out there. Mushroom gummies are such a thing. And I just think gummies are like, just like you're eating sugar and gelatin. Like, it's not
the vitamins that are out there. Anyone who's giving like vitamins to kids, that is so hard to find. I think Alicia Silverstone is the only one who has like sugar-free gummies, and she had to go out and create them herself. because
Yeah.
they don't exist. And even
Yeah.
when you look at women's supplements, what are they trying to feed women? They're getting women so messed up on sugar.
So
Oh
much
my
sugar.
God, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Sorry
So,
for to interrupt. More passions.
well, the nice thing with honey is it is that sweetness. And for kids, especially, obviously not the psilocybin honey, but my other mushroom honeys, if you have kids with ADHD, ADD, memory and focus issues, concentration issues, add that lion's mane to like a really yummy smoothie, or even, you can put it in a milkshake, like put it in their sweet food too, if that's all they'll eat. But you can put it on toast, you can put it on crackers or cookies. You can get that mushroom medicine into them without them knowing it. I have a really cute clip from the farmers market, because I hand out samples, little spoon tasters of my mushroom honeys, and I have had this huge crowd of kids come up, and they're all, I want to try it. I want to try it. So I'm handing out samples to all of them, and they're all trying it, and they're going, this is honey? This is mushrooms? Like, they couldn't believe it, because it tastes great. And kids don't know what like raw honey tastes like. And so it was fun. And my honeys are all creamed, so they have like a really nice smooth consistency. And I want to talk a little bit about the formulation of blue honey. I know you've shared recipes and stuff for people. I've heard two different things. So my blue honey, my microdosing honey, is a raw creamed honey, so it's nice and smooth. The other thing that creaming the honey does is it distributes the mushroom equally throughout the honey. Whereas liquid honey, the mushroom particles will actually start to float to the top. So you're not getting as consistent of a dosage throughout. However, they will infuse into the rest of the liquid honey, so it is still giving, potency to it. But obviously, if you take a spoonful right off the top with all the particles, you're going to have a stronger dose than on the bottom of a jar. And then I grind up dried mushrooms, cracker dry. And the reason for that is when you add any moisture into honey, it can ferment. So if you take liquid honey and put fresh psilocybin mushrooms into it, it is a way to make blue honey, and people do it that way. But it will, over time, the moisture from those mushrooms will slightly ferment the honey. Fermented honey is not bad honey. It's actually good for you. It has probiotics in it. So that alchemy that happens is not bad. And the reason why it's called blue honey, which I'm sure you've discussed, is because psilocybin mushrooms always bruise blue. And in the honey can start to give the honey a bluish tinge. My honey will look blue when the mushrooms are freshly ground and mixed in, but over time the honey starts to kind of diffuse that color out, and it kind of turns just more like a golden honey color again. So yeah, the blue honey, you're not going to have like, Smurf blue honey necessarily by making psilocybin honey, but that is why it's called that. And so you can try it either way. I've heard, I have not actually tried it with fresh mushrooms. And I like my honey the way it is. But if you're experimenting at home, like do it how it sounds good to you.
In the recipe I share, I recommend most of the time to use dried mushrooms, even though it doesn't make it blue, because then people can start working with it right away. You don't have the same waiting process of infusion as with when you're doing the blue honey. But it does definitely, with the fresh ones, you can get more of that blue. And even as you're pouring off the liquid, if that's something you choose to do, that liquid's usually a blue. And it is quite almost like that background, like a kind of psychedelic deep blue. It's blue.
Yeah,
So it's coming from
blue.
yeah.
The other thing is knowing the potency too, something to consider with the creamed
I'm no
honey.
good at that science.
Well,
Give it to
right.
me.
It takes a little number crunching. And with the creamed honey, it's nice because I know per teaspoon there's X amount of psilocybin in it. And with mine specifically per teaspoon, I have 0.1 gram or 100 milligrams. And per tablespoon, it's 0.3 grams or 300 milligrams. And that range, 0.1 to 0.3 grams, is your average microdose. So my customers are taking usually between a teaspoon and a tablespoon per dosage. And I know you probably talk about this, but when you are microdosing, the three things you want to consider are knowing your dose, right? Doses are going to be different for everyone. So less is more is what I tell my customers. Start low, work your way up slowly, find what works best for you. So number one, know your dose. Number two, know your protocol. And your protocol may change as you get to know the medicine, right? And there are a lot of different protocols out there, even just an intuitive protocol where you take the medicine as you feel you need it. But it's nice to work with a more structured protocol as well, depending on what you're hoping to achieve. And what you're hoping to achieve comes through point number 3 here, which is that integration, right? And looking at what you want to achieve from this medicine, how you're going to work with it to achieve it, what else you're going to do to bring benefits from this medicine. Are you going to work with a coach? Are you going to use meditation and breath work every day? Are you going to journal about the subtleties and benefits that this brought to your day? So integration, I tell my customers, is such an important part of really truly having this medicine work for you, because just like the Western world, you take a pill to fix everything. This doesn't do that. You need to really approach it with love and respect. You got to respect the medicine and invite it in a way that is really conscious and knowing of what this medicine can do for you, just trusting it, right? You have to be able to trust it. And if you don't trust the medicine, then it's not going to work for you. Pretty much any medicine, really, Western or any part of the world, any spectrum of medication. If you don't think it's going to work, that mindset's going to be the ultimate determiner.
Yeah. It's said they actually scientifically proven now through, like, thankfully, like people like Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza, things like that, or people like that, that it's what we think that actually does manifest that healing. You can actually think yourself well.
Yeah.
There's 3 things to equal as the formula for success: faith, focus, and effort. And if you put the effort into coming back to the basics, eating good food, drinking that water, getting out in the sun, it just, taking care of yourself, that's the effort. Then you got to have faith that you are getting better, that everything's progressing, and have faith, trust in that process, know that you're going to get better each day. And then that focus, what's that end goal? Like, where is it that you actually want? What does feel good for you actually feel like, start to encompass it.
Yeah. I think those 3 points are so great. And then I think coming back to a point we've already made as well is community. Knowing you're not alone in using these medicines and in finding how these medicines work for you. And finding a coach, finding just other friends that are working with this medicine that you can talk to about, like, hey, I had a very reflective day today that I need to talk out with someone because of the microdose I took today, and I just need someone to hold space for me, right? Having a community of people that you can trust as well with that medicine, I think just makes everything better in everything you do in life, whether you're starting a business, whether you're moving. Like, it always helps to have support. And whether you're starting a new medication, a new medicine that is new to you. A lot of my customers are single conservative mothers that don't want anyone to know that they're taking this medicine. They're Christian. They don't want anyone to know that they're breaking the law. And, it's very fear-based. And I just try to embrace them with so much love, because I know they're being in this illegal space. It prevents so many people from not only trying the medicine, but connecting with other people that are using the medicine. And then you're alone and you're scared. You don't want to get caught, and you're not sure how it's going to affect you. And so, I do the coaching that I can with my customers. I give them a nice intro to how I think they can best benefit and use the medicine. And, the nice thing with the honey is, like, you can start really, really little. I'm like, this is sub-perceptual. You are taking such a minute quantity of this medicine that for you to feel any uncomfortable effects would just be on the verge of impossible, like, especially if they're taking less than 0.1 gram to start. Like, just take a quarter teaspoon, just lick the honey, just take a little lick. You're gonna be fine. Like, if that's where you need to start, you can start there, and then that's not scary. Like, okay, I'm just gonna take a little lick of honey, versus like opening up a capsule and pouring out just a tiny little bit of powder. You get to just taste the honey. Okay, I tasted it today. Now the next day, maybe I'll just put a tiny little bit in my tea. So it's a nice way for newbies to take out that fear element and find the sweetness in the medicine and invite that in without fear. And it's so indistinguishable in the honey too, that you're safe opening up your cupboard if friends come over, and they're not going to be like, oh, what are those mushrooms I see? They're not going to know. So it's a really, obviously you want to keep it marked so nobody goes into it unknowingly. but even that would probably not, being a low ratio honey, would not affect someone negatively, ideally. But that is a part of psilocybin, as it isn't for everyone. Some people do get anxiety. Some people don't find that it's bringing them the benefits that they're hoping for. So, again, when you're just finding this medicine for the first time, and you're hearing people say, oh, it helps with PTSD and anxiety and depression and pain and a terminal illness, end of life, a mindset and things like that, you gotta realize that's a general interpretation of how this medicine can help people. But for you alone, you need to see what's going to be best for you. So a lot of my customers come in with super high hopes that, like, a spoonful of honey is going to just erase years of depression. And I'm like, okay, I wish it did, and maybe it will, but you need to be patient as well. I think patience is one of the things with natural medicine. We're in this quick world of everything now, and with Western medicine, you take a pill and you're better. With natural medicine, there is a patience
element. The thing is, people aren't better after taking the pill, but there's this conditioning and normalization. So then people start thinking that they're the problem.
Yeah.
But really what the problem is that they gave their power away to this quick Band-Aid solution that is just that. It's just masking what the actual problem is. It's a way of procrastinating doing the work that's yours to do. And these tools, you know, whether it's a mushroom or a plant or a frog or a psychedelic or something that's just a herb or a friend, whatever it is for you, that's still your work to do. So, you know, there's so many tools out there, you know, maybe it's a yoga sauna or a chant, like, you know, do you, but there's so much out there, and you're not alone with like any of the things that you've got going on. Somebody out there has had what you have and has been able to fix it.
Yeah.
You know, there's just, you know, some ways that are going to serve you
individually. Remind me how long we have today. Is it an hour?
Yeah, so we're about there. So if there's anything else that you want to share, Laura, please do, and then we'll say goodbye for the day.
Okay. Yes. So for anyone listening to this incredible program, thank you again, Ashley, for having me.
Thank you.
And my website is honeyhuntress.com. And on my website, you will find my line of functional mushroom honeys. And for the listeners of this program, I made a coupon code for 10% off to try those honeys. The coupon code is IS for integration station, right? And IS10. So IS10 is the coupon code for 10% off on my website. And my blue honey or microdosing honey is obviously not available on my website at this time, but is available by direct message. So you can either email me or find me on Instagram and direct message me there. My email is
everything below for you guys too.
I'll have it below. So yeah, find me, message me, and if you say you heard me on this show, just let me know, and I will also apply a discount for the blue honey, the microdosing honey.
That's so exciting. Thank you so much for being here, Laura. I'm also going to be getting her into the network, you guys. So anybody who is familiar with the Elemental Growth Network can reach out directly through there as well. And I'll have all Laura's information in the description below. So it's all clickable for you. Get over there, follow this girl, reach out. You know, she's going to be a huge asset in this community. And I think in changing the world as a whole, you know, just keep going at it, stay persistent, because this is the kind of work that needs to be done today. And thank you.
Together we rise, sister. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye, love. We'll talk soon.